Hello, you're watching Afghan News with Mohsen Jamal. Around 1,000 people, mostly students, took to the streets in eastern Afghanistan on Sunday to protest against plans for a long-term partnership deal with the United States, which they fear could lead to an extended presence of U.S. troops. Afghan political and community leaders endorsed the idea of a strategic partnership with some caveats after a 2,000-strong national gathering known as Loya Jirga, which ended on Saturday. The demonstrators gathered just outside the capital of eastern Nangarhar province and burned an effigy of U.S. President Barack Obama as they protested against the prospect of U.S. troops remaining in Afghanistan. All foreign combat troops are currently slated to leave Afghanistan by the end of 2014, with security nationwide to be handed over to the National Police and Army. However, other foreign advisors will remain to work with Afghan forces. The Taliban condemned the meeting of elders on Sunday, saying that they were puppets of the Afghan government and therefore the NATO and U.S. forces it sees as occupiers. At least 10 insurgents have been killed and 30 others captured in separate military operations around the country, the Afghan Inter-Ministry said in a statement. The statement added that Afghan security forces also seized many weapons during the raids conducted by Afghan and coalition forces. Meanwhile, Idris Mohman, the head of media for the Afghan border police, said that Afghan forces launched an operation in collaboration with foreign forces in Kamdesh district of the eastern Nuristan province in the past 3 days, killing more than 10 insurgents and detaining 10 others with many weapons. The operation will continue for 2 months, Mohmand added. Nuristan borders Pakistan and insurgents are active in the province, often targeting Afghan police checkpoints. Uzbekistan media have reported an explosion on a railway line on the Central Asian nation's border with Afghanistan. The rail route lies on a distribution network used for the supply of goods to United States troops serving in Afghanistan, but the cause of the blast was unclear. Local media reported Saturday that nobody was killed in the explosion, which reportedly occurred Wednesday night, saying a commission has been set up to investigate the incident. No group has so far claimed responsibility for the bombing. Pakistan's ambassador to the United States returned to Islamabad Sunday over a memo that appealed to the Pentagon to help the civilian government ward off a coup by the country's powerful military. Ambassador Hussein Haqqani has been focused of a domestic political row over the memo sent in May to Admiral Mike Mullen, then chairman of the United States Joint Chiefs of Staff. The memo sent by Manzoor Ejaz, an American businessman of Pakistani origin, called for U.S. help to ward off a military coup in Pakistan after American forces killed Osama bin Laden in a secret raid in the country in May. Ejaz said Friday he had returned the memo at Haqqani's behest, but Haqqani, a close aide to Pakistani President Asif Ali Zardari, has denied any connection with the memo. Haqqani arrived in Islamabad early Sunday and was due to meet Zardari and other leaders, a senior government official said, without setting a day or time. Clashes are continuing in Cairo, the Egyptian capital, between riot police and protesters demanding that the ruling military quickly announces a date to hand over power to an elected government in some of the worst unrest since the country's revolution. Police fired tear gas canisters and protesters threw rocks on Sunday morning as thousands remained on the streets overnight in and around central Cairo's Tahrir Square, the focus point of the 18-day uprising that toppled former President Hosni Mubarak in February. Issam Sharaf, Egypt's interim prime minister, was said to host an emergency cabinet meeting to discuss the unrest. The violence which followed mass protests on Saturday left at least 2 people dead and hundreds wounded in Cairo and other cities, stoking tensions just days ahead of the start of the country's first post-Mubarak parliamentary elections. The fresh protests have been triggered by a political storm over plans put forward by the military-backed government to enshrine a political rule for the military in the next constitution and shield it from any civilian oversight. Libya's prime minister has promised a fair trial for Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, the influential son of former leader Muammar Gaddafi, following his capture in the southern desert town of Ubari. In the first official announcement of Saif al-Islam's capture late on Saturday, Abdurrahim El-Kayeb said he thought the capture would turn the page on the face of revolution. El-Kayeb told a news conference in the western mountain town of Zintan, where Saif al-Islam and several bodyguards had been taken that it would mark the beginning of the building of a state of freedom, law, justice and transparency. Once considered the favorite to succeed his late father, Saif was arrested by fighters from Zintan who make up one of Libya's most powerful armed factions. Along with his father and Abdullah Senussi, Libya's former intelligence chief who remains at large, Saif al-Islam was indicted by the International Criminal Court in June on crimes against humanity, charges relating to the Gaddafi regime's efforts to put down the uprising. But Saif al-Islam told his captors on Saturday he didn't recognize the ICC. The Free Syrian Army has claimed responsibility for a rocket grenade attack on a building belonging to the ruling Ba'ath Party in the heart of Damascus, the Syrian capital. Witnesses reported a loud explosion on Baghdad Street in the center of the city early on Sunday. Activists from the local coordination committees said that several rocket-propelled grenades had been fired at the Ba'ath Party building. The Free Syrian Army mostly consists of army defectors who have taken up arms against state security forces. Meanwhile, in an interview with a British newspaper, Assad said that his government would continue to take action against opposition protesters and would not bow to mounting international pressure to end the crackdown that has left thousands dead. Assad again repeated his assertion that any international military action taken against Syria would create an earthquake across the Middle East. That was all for now. Thanks for staying with us.